Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Leonardo De Aguiar. Leonardo De Aguiar is the founder and CEO of INTUEAT Incorporated. Leonardo is a young, innovative entrepreneur and business owner. He grew up with a family that is deeply rooted in business. They instilled the values of hard work, dedication, and the desire to positively contribute to society. He has spent the last 3 years building a food and beverage brand in Denver, Colorado. INTUEAT is an innovative digital marketplace connecting best-in-class private chefs to diners who want to experience a luxury dining experience in the comfort of their own homes. Well, good afternoon, Leo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Thank you. And I appreciate making that time. Obviously, we traverse the globe, but today we're talking to someone here in the U.S., so I appreciate you making the time. Leo, let's jump right into these questions here because you've got an amazing story, amazing background, and your short tenure here right out of college, but love to hear it and love to get it out. So let's talk about your career in marketing and business as a young entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of INTUEAT. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you as an entrepreneur?
That's a really, really good question. I'm going to kind of flip it on you and say what inspires me as an entrepreneur really is my team and the stakeholders that my companies serve. For me, it's a huge motivator. It's the reason I get out of bed every day. It's being able to assist and develop and help those around me grow and progress through life. And then as far as, the secret to my career growth, I think really it ties back to one of my favorite quotes. The whole entrepreneurial spirit is you jump off a cliff and you build your wings on the way down. That really has been the secret to my career growth, is just taking those leap of faiths, making those hard decisions and building my wings on the way down.
I love that story. And I've heard that before as well. I've heard different versions, building a parachute, but that's awesome. Thank you. And you do really need to have that really drive and passion to be able to do that as an entrepreneur. So appreciate the share. Leo, let's talk about a little bit in just that short amount of time I talked about earlier from college, to creating an innovative on-demand private chef platform. Could you tell us how your platform is changing the game in the culinary tech space?
Yeah, absolutely. We are innovating. We're not necessarily creating something fresh out the gate. Personal private chef services have been around for a while. There's been general unfocused marketplaces for a while as well. But really the way we're innovating the culinary tech space is we're bringing the human touch with a tech-focused approach. One of my favorite quotes that we received from one of our chefs that we work with is, when I need to talk to somebody, I can pick up the phone and call you guys. You guys will answer. And so really the way we are changing the game in the culinary tech space is by bringing the hospitality aspect into the culinary tech space. On top of that, with COVID and how everything kind of went down with the restaurant industry, leaving a lot of these high-end professionals high and dry that were already living paycheck to paycheck, we are building a new community and a new path forward through accessibility to opportunity for our chefs. Assisting these small business owners that have to face some hurdles every day, that don't necessarily know how to navigate the tech space very well. Really, that's how we're changing the game.
Leo, that's awesome. And you're right. We've had to make a lot of incredible shifts, and people have completely had their lives turned upside down because of the pandemic, right? So
Yep.
We need to innovate. We need to change the game. And that's what we're doing. The human spirit, the human race is going to get this done. So that's awesome. Leo, are you leveraging any new or emerging technologies in your business? And if not, maybe you could tell us if there's a specific tool or app you find useful.
Yeah, absolutely. At INTUEAT's core, we've built the machine to be very agile, very flexible, be ready to pivot at any point. Because as you know, things have been going, crazy for a couple years now. And I think really leveraging new and emerging technologies has helped us build that core of being agile, being flexible. Me personally, I find it a little funny of the whole Chat GPT boom. Even though that's been around for a little bit, we've been leveraging that for development purposes for a while. And now we're starting to leverage that for marketing and content creation. But for me personally, my favorite tool that I have found so far is Lucid Charts. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. But the most difficult thing for me was putting lightning in a bottle, capturing all these thoughts, putting them down on paper. And so Lucid Charts is a very flexible and gooey way of like setting up processes and different templates, making visual elements. And so that's been my favorite so far. And it's definitely been the one that's helped me bring more stability and more process-driven procedures to the table.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that too. And I always kind of joke around every time I get on a podcast, we have somebody sharing or providing a free plug to the platform or the company on the podcast. But it's pretty cool because we get to learn what you're doing in your space. And a lot of times we'll have guests that share something that we've never even heard of before. So do appreciate that. Leo, last question here. Can you share a lesson you've learned from your own career experience that could be helpful for those looking to grow their career as entrepreneurs as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned through all of this is that you need to have a motivator. You need to have something that gets you out of bed. For me personally, that's, assisting the chefs that we interact with, developing my team. But you have to have passion for what you're doing. You can't start an entrepreneurial journey without a little bit of passion, because really everybody calls us mad. Everybody calls us insane. But that little bit of passion and that little bit of drive is what gets us to the end zone. And ultimately what I've learned is, it's not a very linear process. Everybody thinks it is. Everybody sees the success story, but really it's not. And so if you're in a position where you can't run, then crawl. If you're in a position where, you find yourself stuck, just look north or look to your North Star and just start making a little bit of headway slowly but surely. And yeah, that's the biggest things I've learned in my career as an entrepreneur that I think will help other people get started. But there's always, a lot to that question. And I will say, just take that leap of faith. That leap of faith is the scariest part of all. And once you're in there and you take the reins of everything that's going on and you learn how to harness the chaos around you, it becomes such a feeling of, I can't even describe it. It's just creating something new, changing people's lives and being able to do that. I think, that's what people should strive for in being an entrepreneur. And if you can do that and you can put people forward or your passion forward while taking the rest into consideration and never giving up, I think you're going to be in a really good place as an entrepreneur.
Thank you for sharing that. And you're right. Jumping into something that is quite scary is really taking that leap of faith, being scared. Even though you are scared, you still get up on that horse and ride, right? So I appreciate the thoughts, the nuggets, the gems. Again, we have a large audience that are full of entrepreneurs, technologists, and others that do take these to heart. So thank you, Leo. And it was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you, Brian. It was an absolute pleasure being on. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for hearing out my story. And I really hope to hear from you soon.
Bye for now.